Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 2 of Zipline, the official Zipper Interactive podcast. I am Chris Roper.
I'm Jeremy Dunham. And today we have Jason Olander, our resident STD. Don't read into that any differently. He's our systems and technical designer for MAG. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. You look ready to talk. You have a lot to spill.
I've had a lot of caffeine.
Yes.
That's the way you got to do it.
I think he's gone through an entire cup of coffee since we got in the room.
This is Seattle. This is how we roll.
We've been in here for 7 hours, so really that's not that.
That's right. We have new equipment this week, so if we sound better, it's the equipment. If we sound mildly worse, it's the equipment.
Yeah, whatever the case may be, it's the equipment's fault.
That's right.
Yeah. I guess the first thing we need to do is get to the ZCap.
That's right, ZCap. ZCap is your weekly reminder of what we've been up to.
Zipper recap,
That's
if
right.
you will.
It's an abbreviation for those of you not following. So first up, obviously, as of yesterday, we've started our Double XP weekend. It's started early in the morning. If you're playing the game and you notice you're getting more experience than normal, that's because of our promotion. Keep in mind, though, you have to play a game all the way through or it doesn't count. If you leave early or disconnected, whatever the issue may be, you're not going to get the Double XP. So make sure you finish all your games.
Also, people will cry.
That's right. Little babies are upset. Yeah. It will continue until May 2nd, until the end of the day, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So enjoy that over the weekend as your chance to vet if you haven't done it already, or become a multi-time vet if you're a super fan. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
I know the super fans.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
The Fast Attack Gear Pack. Say that one 10 times fast if you're bored.
Well, you can do that through post-processing.
That's right. Is available as of yesterday, free of charge. Give you some new sniper rifles, some light improved armor. It's 400 in-game credits.
That's right.
You want to expand on this at all?
Actually, Jason's the best guy to expand on that. Can you talk a little bit about the light improved armor in the Fast Attack Pack and the benefits of picking that over, say, medium or regular light armor?
Yeah, actually, the light improved slots right in between the normal light armor and the medium armor. And so it's exactly what it sounds like by slotting in that it costs a little bit more than light, a little less than medium, gives you more protection than a standard light. And so if you want that, a little extra survivability at the price of a little less loadout, that's your ticket right there. So it slots right in with the medium improved and possibly more later.
So hopefully those two elements, the new content and the Double XP, will be enough to get you guys excited about playing the game this weekend. We'll be playing it. At least I will. Chris won't, because I don't think he's got his PS3 hooked up at home yet. Do you?
It is hooked up.
You got it hooked up?
Yep.
He just moved here from California, so
I did.
He gets a free pass. And one other thing, IGN.com actually updated its site for SOCOM 4 fans. It's actually a closer look at the OpsCom and who he is as a character, what it is that he's up to, what his motivations are. So check that out. Just head on over to IGN.com, click on its S4 page.
It's time for a little Q&A, open discussion, if you will, with our guest of honor here, Jason.
That's right. So Jason Olander has been at Zipper for quite some time. Can you do us a favor, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been here, what projects we should know you from?
Your favorite color.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be black. That one's easy. So, yeah.
Some people argue that black is not a color, though. Right.
Well, maybe to you good people. To those of us who ride on the dark side, black is the color.
I'm just talking, traditional color speaking. You go to art class and they explain. Anyway.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
What is it that you do here?
Right, what do I do? It's not colors. So I've been here about, 5.5, 6 years. I actually came on originally as a technical scripter on SOCOM 3 back in the day, right after they had finished up SOCOM 2. So I worked on that in the design department, and I've worked on SOCOM Combined Assault, which I did a lot of design work for and technical work for. The original sort of technical design setup for Fireteam Bravo, which led into FTB2, of course. And so lately, for the last 135 years, I've been working on MAG since almost its inception.
It has been in development since before the TV was invented.
That's right.
That's right.
Somehow you guys knew.
In fact,
you went back in time and started it.
In between radio and television, they decided, hey, why don't we figure out a way to get 256 people to play together on a thing we haven't invented yet?
And we did it on radio, and it's just not very compelling.
That's right. Now your turn. You go. Yeah. Wait, what was I doing?
Now, speaking on a smaller scale,
yes,
maybe a smaller scale TV, such as the PSP, you mentioned Fireteam Bravo. Why don't you tell us a little bit of What's an interesting tidbit you can tell us about Fireteam?
Oh, that was an interesting one for me. I wasn't through the entire development cycle, but I was working on SOCOM, what was it, Combined Assault at the same time. We were getting Combined Assault rolling and FTB, so we were fresh to the PSP. So I was trying to port over everything we do in the normal SOCOM games. Probably the most interesting thing we had to do there was figuring out the control scheme. It's just a very unique little device. And so, what does the nub do? What is a nub? Can these D-pads work? Can you use them? Can you use them with the nub? What do the triggers do? So that was probably the toughest thing there to FTB2. And so once we got all that rolling, the rest of the game fell in pretty well. So, and then the rest of the design team really took over so I could focus on Combined Assault and other assorted projects along the way.
What is this I hear about sausages in Fireteam Bravo?
The sausages, yeah. That was in that whole era. We had sausages in Combined Assault and sausages all over the place in FTB, Fireteam Bravo. And so, if I recall correctly, originally it was just a little gag, and then they had entire missions that centered around collecting umpteen million sausages. So that was definitely a theme in that Zipper era.
You think there's any chance that we could see hidden sausages in SOCOM 4?
You'd have to ask the SOCOM 4 guys, but if there
Nothing you've heard?
Yeah, one would hope there would be at least a sausage in there.
So let's fast forward to something a little bit closer up. MAG, you have been working on that for a while. What exactly was your role on MAG before it came out, and then what's your role on MAG now?
So it started off, we had very raw conversations early on when I was still on other projects. Helped out a little bit with that, saying, hey, you should set up the tools this way. And then they went off and did other various things, and about a year later I came on. Originally I started off doing some mission design work to do something a little bit differently. My missions were so incredibly awful that they finally said, no, you can't do that anymore. And they wanted me to do the technical design side instead, so that's what I ended up doing. All my missions, brilliant, crazy, none of them ever saw the light of the day, so sad. So I spent a long time doing really two different things. Systems work, which is designing crazy stuff such as, well, how does the matchmaking system work? Somebody had to figure this out. How do you manage to get 256 players from 3 different PMCs together to actually play the game without having to wait 6 hours? So somebody has to design these systems, work with engineering, work with our UI team to figure all that out. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is, okay, that's great. Now, how do we actually make these killer missions that the artists and designers are coming up with work? Do you blow up a mortar? How do bunkers work? Where do people spawn? How do we get them to parachute? And so that sort of nuts and bolts work is the other half of what I would do. So I spent probably a good 3-4 years doing those two things.
So speaking of matchmaking, how does matchmaking work? A lot of people are curious what the system is. How is it that that matches are spun together?
So you create a videotape, and then that goes, and then so other prospective singles watch. And then they say, oh, I like bicycling on the beach also.
Wrong type of match.
Maybe you have a better answer.
However, that might work pretty well. Then it would all be guys. How sad.
That's what it is anyway.
Oh, that's probably true, yeah. So I'm sorry about your dating life, by the way. I'd like to
I'm married now,
apologize.
so I passed that.
Again,
I haven't actually seen this proven yet, by the way. So that you have.
I got pictures now.
I've been there. I've been to his house.
All right, we'll go with that.
He's definitely married.
Our particular matchmaking system. So the whole system is predicated on speed. Waiting to play the game is just no fun. And so everything from the outset was designed with that single goal in mind. Really what happens is we put three PMCs go into a single bucket, if you will. Everybody wants to play domination. There's 3 different PMCs. They're loading in, they're hitting the queue, and now you're waiting in the queue. That's what the user sees at the moment. What we're doing under the hood is matching up all those numbers, and as soon as we have the correct amount from 2 factions, whichever 2 those are, we spin them off. And we go, we have 100 from Valor and 100 from Raven, or whatever the number might be. And then we take all of those people, and they go off into their own little world, their own lobby, and they start to play a game. We then take the remainder of everybody who's waiting, starting at the top, basically, take those numbers and start spinning off another pair. So it's all done in pairs, and the reason that we don't really allow sort of a server selection like you would see in most games, where it's like, we're going to play this map, this map, this map, and this map, is because you could potentially be waiting forever for somebody else to show up to play that map. And so to keep things moving, to keep everybody playing, we use the giant bucket system, where everybody ends up in the bucket, and then we spin games off as quickly as we possibly can.
So there you go. Finally, an explanation.
Yeah. Other than that, it's a lot of magic.
Now, speaking of magic, actually, I don't know if it has to do with magic at all. But so MAG was in production for 135 years, as we've already gone over. And then it came out this past January. And now it is getting tons of post support with up to, 7 patches or something like that now. And, going forward, going on and on forever, apparently. How has design changed on your end from a pre-release game that nobody's played before to now one that lots of people are playing, have feedback on? They can talk about things that they've now done. How does that change now that players are actually getting in and killing each other? Yeah,
it's actually been a very interesting process and nerve-wracking at the same time. MAG is a very unique beast in that it's, the scale of online play is obviously quite huge, 256 players, 3 separate PMCs. That's not normally how things are done. No single-player component, et cetera, et cetera. So you can only test that so much, even in beta. When we had, thousands of players at once helping us out, it's still not quite the full thing going for months at a time. So our philosophies, the core philosophy of getting lots of people together in an organized way and allowing them to basically, shoot the hell out of each other has not changed. A lot of it was a surprise right off the top. So we recognized systems in the game that worked really well that we had concerns about going in. We weren't sure, is the matchmaking system going to work? Our 256 players really going to be spinning up and playing? That actually worked fantastically well. Very happy with that. But then there were things that maybe didn't work so well. Maybe some of the communication systems and a whole host of other issues. So getting that many players playing out in the real world for weeks, months at a time has actually been quite a revelation. I think we've learned a lot of stuff along the way. And we have absolutely no fear of applying what we've learned and making those changes. So, evaluating a live game like that is a very different beast than evaluating something in beta testing or small scale testing.
So a lot of what you're referring to is not only balancing the game in terms of gameplay, but also balancing the game in terms of the user experience also. So with those two elements in mind, what are some of the things that you have implemented so far since the game came out to address some of the things that you noticed post-release?
One of the things, I got a good example. Just recently, actually, we added some more command matchmaking parameters. One thing we noticed was that although we provided a non-verbal system to allow squad leaders and platoon leaders, mainly squad leaders, to issue orders, give waypoints and fragmentary orders where sending your squad off to go, blow up the bunker and then, from there go hit the mortar, that sort of thing. Although we provided all the systems so you could just use that and never talk, we found kind of a negative feedback when people would have a squad leader who didn't have a microphone and wasn't communicating. It sort of breaks your link and your sense of community with your squad. So we decided just recently, and we implemented that and put it out in a patch, to actually weight in whether a user has a microphone or not. So we actually check when somebody's opted in for squad leader, do they have a microphone? Yes. Okay, we're going to give them a higher priority than somebody who doesn't. Doesn't necessarily mean that somebody who doesn't have a microphone isn't a good squad leader, but the user feedback was that the experience is less compelling when a squad leader is not issuing verbal orders and communicating verbally at the same time. So that was that's probably a good example of the type of thing we've addressed.
Just a minute ago, you mentioned that for a SOCOM question, we should be referring to the SOCOM team. Obviously, MAG came out in January. SOCOM 4 is in production right now. A lot of people, particularly with SOCOM being brought up and then MAG post-release support, are wondering what is it like internally as far as support for each of the games go. Are they, how much crossover is there between them? Does, SOCOM 4 being in production take away from what MAG's going to get post-release? How do the two kind of coexist internally?
Yeah, definitely I've seen those concerns as well. As soon as SOCOM 4 was announced, it's like, well, that means MAG's dead. Or even when we were working on MAG and nobody knew the big secret, they're like, well, that obviously they're not working on SOCOM. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, obviously. We have a pretty large studio team now. Even 6 years ago when I started, I think I was number 40-something, and now we're 40 something or somewhere in that range. So we have a lot more staff. We have a very experienced staff. SOCOM 4 has been in development the entire time we've been working on MAG, really. So
135 years.
Yeah.
135 years. I think 134, I think, because
Okay.
we were still finishing up CA
Right.
and FTB too. So almost as long. As it stands, the support is quite good across both products. We still have not a full production team, but about as close as you can get for a live product with MAG. So I have engineers, artists, designers, producers, you name it, still involved in MAG, and we very much see it as a living platform. And SOCOM 4 obviously has, a very large staff going forward. So there's plenty of room and plenty of staff in the studio for both. Neither suffers is the bottom line.
I think it's time to shift to some reader questions or
Let's
user
do it.
questions. Yeah, let's do it. All right. So Music Man 1234, I think, has the most important question of the day. Once everyone read your developer profile and they found out exactly what you're about, what you've done.
Jeremy, where could people have seen the developer profile?
Well, on, of course, the Mag blog and the SOCOM blog where we post them.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did I just witness a plug?
That was it.
It was a plug with a
So-
bit of an extension cord.
Oh, so smooth, so smooth.
Thank you. But once everyone realized what it exactly is you're about, we were inundated with tons of questions. The most important, though, being, what is your favorite Rush album?
Whichever one I'm listening to right now. I don't even need to hear the rest
Which
of the
one are you
question.
listening to right now?
In my head at the moment, I believe it's Presto, because we were talking about it with our sound engineer a little while ago. So that's the one spinning in my head a little bit. As soon as that's finished, probably the next one will spin up. So it's a constant sort of Rush soundtrack in my brain, like Voices, but in a higher pitch than Canadian.
So with that important question out of the way, I said we call it an interview.
There we go. We're done for the day. Actually, wait, there is another one.
Okay.
Mark writes in, and he has a very important question that a lot
Very,
of people
very
are
important
mentioning on the discussion forums these days. MAG has been out for a few months now, and with any game, people are going to play a new game and then kind of find other things to play after a while. And so the player counts online are going down. Everybody kind of sees this. So his question is, what are the plans to raise the player count? We've seen fewer players now compared to the past few weeks, and what is going to happen to get the counts back up again?
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredibly valid question, and probably our biggest concern. As I said before, with MAG and the sheer scale of it, it takes sort of a critical mass of players to make everything happen correctly. It takes a lot to have multiple 256-player battles. So yeah, we also witnessed the player count sort of going down. To be expected. We've been out for a while. People have other things to do. I don't know why, but they do have other things to do apparently. So we have a lot of things in the works. This has not gone unnoticed for us. Sort of the patches and fixes we've done to date, like as I mentioned about the microphone, things like that, sort of add value and respond to some feedback. Some of the gear we've put out, a little bit of candy. I probably can't talk a lot about it, but we actually have a lot of really big plans that have been in the works for a long time and are getting close to coming to fruition. So,
And we're going to be able to talk about those in a little bit more detail next month. We're not quite sure when yet. We're still hashing out those details, but within the next month or so, you're going to start to hear a lot more about the bigger plans for MAG. And I know I can just see the look on Jason's face. He wants to tell you guys so badly.
it's tough. We've been working on some of this stuff for quite a while, actually. And
Yeah.
so they're not small by any means, and so we have everything from, you name it, missions to the way matchmaking works and everything
Does
in
it turn the
between.
PS3 into a money dispenser? That's
Pretty much.
That's.
I'll get people
That would
that
be
way.
quite an upgrade.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
think
everything.
another really valid question comes from Joseph. He wants to know how long MAG is going to last. Is there any time frame for continued support, or are you going to keep going until it's just not viable anymore? Is there a specific date right now we're saying, that's it, we're cutting off MAG, and that's it?
Only when Skynet becomes viable.
Okay.
Then we'll turn everything off. No, we have no specific time frame in mind.
Which is a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've always meant to go for a long time, and continually adding on to the product. It's only the beginning.
Suntenko wants to know, I guess this is, I would think
it's
this
the
is from
same.
him.
It's the same guy.
Same guy. He wants to know if he would consider putting in Tenko's song Shadow War in MAG.
In the
which-
game?
Not so much in the game. But what we will do is play you a little teaser here. If you want to hear more of this, you can go on to MySpace and search for Tenko.
Yep.
He's Tenko. He's also on YouTube. You can find it on there.
And we're
It's
very
a cool
impressed
little
with this
remix.
song. This is his little remix of the song. Take a listen to this. It's pretty good. What'd you think?
Cool.
Yep.
Ship it.
Get it in there.
Evil Viper 77 has another question that I think is very important. Will we eventually see updated or new training modes that actually train new players in ways that they're currently not trained, like leadership positions?
Yeah, that's a tough one to say. Right now, I don't think we have anything specific in the works to go along with the other items that we alluded to before. Again, that's something we're painfully aware of. We were also not horribly happy with the way the training or lack thereof went out, especially for command and things like that. So we continue to evaluate ways to get that into the game space instead of just, there are videos out on the blog, so there's a nice little plug. You can go up on the PSN store actually and download various things that are informational for that. But we definitely want to get some more into the game, whether it's just tips, videos, actual gameplay experiences, what form that might take. I'm not entirely sure yet, but it's definitely near the top of the list, is helping people drop that learning curve a little bit for Mag so we can get more people in.
Mojo, perhaps he has a lot of it, wants to know, can you go into detail regarding the upcoming clan support additions, which we very, very sort of outwardly hinted at last week.
Well, we said, hey, we're working on some clan stuff.
Yes, that's what I mean by outwardly hinted.
Yeah, so the answer would be no. I can't go into detail about that. It will be awesome? Question mark.
You have to be patient on that one. But perhaps we'll be able to, sometime soon, maybe even as early as next week, we at least might be able to talk about some of the philosophies behind what we're looking to do with clan mode. Stay tuned. That's not a guarantee. We're still working on timing on that one.
Yeah.
Ask another question. I'm drinking water.
I am not a fan of David Hasselhoff, so hopefully this is not one and the same. But Hoff44 wrote in. If it is David, then thank you for writing. It says, when will we get to see some brand new weapons instead of improved versions of existing weapons?
Soon.
Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I need to say more? No. There will be new ones. We'll just leave it at that.
Cool.
So
there you go. There will be new ones eventually confirmed. Is the Shadow War ever going to change? KH Knight would like to know. And if so, how?
Yeah, that comes back to major systems that we are not entirely sure I can talk about. It will change. I think I can say that much for sure. The Shadow War itself is kind of a mix of elements. One of those elements is the matchmaking, obviously. One of those elements is the rewards you get for winning various game types. So tying those elements together whenever we change one small thing means we're going to have to change quite a bit. I think, to be perfectly blunt, that would fall into one of the systems we weren't completely happy about post-release. And so, again, we have no fear of changing things, and we have the resources and the backing to do it. So, can't give you details on that one, but it will. The Shadow War will change.
And I can add a little bit to that, is that a big element to how the Shadow War is going to change over time is also based a lot on the feedback from users and the ways that they expect the Shadow War to play out in an ideal way for them. So if you guys have specific things that you would like to see in the Shadow War and how it plays out, feel free to send them along to us. It's obviously no guarantee that those changes are going to be implemented in game, but we'll absolutely take a look at them and see some of the things that you're thinking and take it from there.
Yep. Aeropanko writes in, he says, how is work coming in regards to improving instances of lag, particularly in regards to domination?
Yeah, and to expand on that question a little bit, we've seen some people complain of lag. Other people say I've never had a single bout of lag. Where does the lag come from for those who have it? And then to the original question is, what can we do to improve that for those that get it?
Yeah, in some cases, it's actually not what you would think of as lag. It's not really networking issue per se, or it's very remote to your own particular setup to the internet versus sort of the classic definition of lag that you would see in a multiplayer game. We've taken a lot of steps to address all those kinds of issues along the way. It'll be everything from improving the way some of the network code has worked to changing the way we handle some of the resources within the game on the client side. So it's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo. They tell me these things, my eyes glaze over, and usually I just run away and get more coffee. But I think we've made strides in that department, and it's just one of those types of items are things we never stop looking at. I mean, we are constantly looking to improve that experience because that moment-to-moment gameplay is obviously the key to any kind of shooter like this. So I think we've improved things a lot. But yeah, there's definitely still instances where people see teleporting or lag or what they perceive as lag, and so.
And one of the most helpful things I think that people can do for themselves if they experience lag is first of all make sure that it's not something that's locally created by an ISP problem. Maybe you just need to reset your router. Good way to do is to go to ping a site. Usually Google's a good site to try the ping Google command. And we have details about how to do that exactly on the forums. Plug number 3.
We need a plug noise.
That's right. We do need a plug noise. Get a sound effect.
Everything I can think of is dirty.
And also just to make sure that if you are, let's say, running into a disconnection error, which I've also seen a few people comment, if you're getting a disconnection error, specifically the 5.4, if you ever see that, you will know that's actually a local issue. 5.4 disconnects, if you run into those, which are usually coupled with lag, are actually an ISP or router problem on the client side. So keep that in mind if you do run into lag problems and you see 5.4, it's actually a local problem. You might want to call your ISP if resetting your router doesn't do anything.
Yep.
So there you go.
You want to take the next one?
Sure. Airbags wants to know about additional PMCs. Will we ever see any?
We do not have any current plans for additionals. It's difficult enough to manage 3, to tell you the truth.
Commander Firezone 38 wants to know that since MAG is still the only game that supports 256 players, would we ever consider making a World War II game?
That is an interesting thought. We've considered other motifs. Right now, we're just focused solely on making MAG in the very near future ambient or motif that we have now work as best as we can. It takes a lot of art resources to really sell another world. In this case, World War II. Yeah, those are great ideas, and managing a battle like that would be, probably a blast in sort of a slower paced World War II theme. But
I want us to tackle a 256-player Revolutionary War game, where you actually have to fill your muskets.
I'm pretty sure we tried that along the way in the last couple of years. We just lined up 200 people. All right, now shoot.
Well, we did have the beach balls. Originally, MAG started as a beach ball demo.
Ooh, volleyball?
That was just balls.
No, just beach balls running around.
Knock them around.
It's like 256 of them.
Oh, little Nefunicello running around the beach.
I think a lot of
I think that's before many
Frankie
people's
Avalon.
time. Yeah.
So Thagmar, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that name. He's been around on the MAG forums for a long time, including all the way back to the MAG period, or the MAG beta period. Wants to know what is the likelihood of in-game screenshots making a comeback to MAG. Now, what that means by comeback is in early in the earliest versions of the beta, we did have a screenshot feature, so that it made it easier to report bugs that people were identifying. Jason?
I guess that's a good question for the audience out there and the fans out there. I mean, how much will they want that screenshot functionality back in?
Yeah, so let us know.
Yeah, definitely ping us on that one. I think it's something we could probably look at.
Yeah, let us if it's something you guys really want to know. I know that I've seen threads before on it, but a couple threads here and there doesn't really necessarily let us know how important it is. If you guys want to send us a whole bunch of emails and say yay or nay, that'd be very beneficial, and maybe start an official thread asking for it or not asking for it. Say, don't worry about it.
I will only accept screenshots of emails.
That's right, to keep in
threads.
theme.
That's right.
Mudmaster, I guess it is 23, says, when will Zipper allow us to group 2+ squads together?
That is probably an excellent question for my engineering cohort, Jennifer, who I believe, plug, this is your cue.
She is going to be on the show next week. Jennifer Kearley, she is better known on the boards as Miss Smarty Pants. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with her.
We should bring some math and English questions and do our own little mini SAT and see if she lives up to the board name.
I would like to point out that I selected that name for her.
Oh, really?
Way back in the beta. She couldn't come up with a good one.
So
So
you see?
she owes me like $1.
whole career.
She owes me $1 a week, which I have not received.
The Black Omen says he has lots of questions, but one that he's seen a lot. What is the possibility of playing custom music tracks via the XMB in MAG?
What, like Rush and
There you go.
Iron Maiden
Uh-huh.
and Mastodon? Oh, yeah. It's definitely something we're looking into. We'll just put it right there.
Okay.
it
And
is.
just like the in-game screenshots, if that's something you think is very important, let us know. And then we'll weigh your requests versus your other requests, of which there are many.
Everybody wants something.
If you'd like to let us know about anything, including what you eat for dinner tonight, or you have questions about MAG, SOCOM, Zipper in general, any of those sorts of things, you can reach us in a number of ways. You can go on either of the forums, the MAG or SOCOM forums, and you can find posts that will be dedicated to next week's show on there. It will go up and it'll show you Jennifer's profile. You can see what she does and ask questions about that. Or you can send us email to zipline@zipperint.com, zipperint.
New email address.
.com.
Before
Yep.
we go, though, we are going to do a couple other plugs because that's what we like to do. And before we go, we're introducing a new segment here on Zipline.
It's episode 2, so it's all new, kind
Yeah,
of.
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's the only. It didn't make it in episode 1 though, so we got to
It's
mention
the
it.
director's cut of episode 1 is what
There
we're
you go.
doing
It's
now.
the extended edition.
Yep.
We call it the Zip Tip. And what the Zip Tip is going to be is we're going to ask our guest every week to give us some kind of tip about anything. It could be about a game that they've worked on.
It would be
or
nice if it was about MAG or SOCOM.
Yeah.
But if you have something else that, don't add too much sugar to your cookies. It'll make them not
Right.
taste. I'm not a cook, but
Could be a life tip. But since Jason's our first one, he's actually going to grace us with 2 tips this week, just to give you an idea of the different types of tips that you're going to get. So go ahead. Let us know.
All right, so I'll give you a MAG. Let's see, a couple MAG tips then. How about that? Boy, I had all of like 30 seconds to think about this and can't
Yep.
come up with a thing. Oh, I know. How about always group up together. Everybody should know that by now, but believe me, the game is so much more fun when you're not just playing by yourself. The other one is for commanders specifically. I see a lot of squad leaders, platoon leaders, OICs running around and shooting. Find a spot to hang out, a safe spot. Use the CNI. Issue your orders from there. Communicate with your squads and use the chat channels. You definitely will see a huge improvement in group cohesion across even 128 players when you're just talking and issuing orders in an intelligent way instead of running around all the time. So find a spot to hide and use your orders.
There you go.
That's a good one. And and you wanted a life tip too,
Yeah,
right?
here's a life tip.
life tip.
Oh boy, let's see. Well, I'm a lifelong Northwesterner, so one of my classics from growing up on the coast here is never pee uphill.
There
I'd
you
say
go.
that's solid advice right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice.
yeah.
That also means that it's with that great advice that it's the end of the show. Time for some plugs. Chris has already told you how you can contact us, but we also want to remind you to please visit Zipper's Facebook page. It's our fan page. You can't be fans of it anymore because they changed that, so now you can just like us. So if you like us, that makes us feel good, number one. But number two, it'll also be great because you'll be able to get our updates from us all the time on Facebook, as well as Twitter. You can just type in twitter.com/zipper, and that's us.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also PMC pages on Facebook. So if you want to get crazy and go join the Ravens PMC fan page,
That's right.
go look for that on there.
That's right. There's all 3. All you have to do is do a search. Just like for Zipper Interactive, you search, you'll find us real easy. You can do the same thing. Search for Valor, Raven, or Sever. Make sure you include the periods in Sever's name, and you'll be able to find those pages just fine and become like fans.
That's right. Next week's guest, as has been said already, Jennifer Kearley. She's going to be on the show. Software engineer extraordinaire. She'll be on here talking about many things,
That's right.
possibly including a little bit of clan support stuff. So we'll see what's
Possibly
going on
we'll
there.
see what we can get out of her.
See what's happening.
That's right. Now you're going to be able to read her developer profile on Monday, and as always, we'll include her questions thread on both the MAG and SOCOM blog, so you can ask her what you will.
Now, before we get out of the show here,
Uh-huh.
there was something I mentioned that I was going to last week. I was going to bring up when Jason came here on the show. Is my assumption is, and I did not know you were on this time, but that when Zoolander came out, there must have been plenty of jokes made at the expense of your last name. Is this the case?
There were plenty, yeah. So I also want to get a really tiny little cell phone. I think that was the most awesome thing ever. Every time I posed, everybody would just yell and leave. And so those jokes stopped pretty quick when I started wearing like spandex around the office. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to let you know that Zoolander's been out for about 9 years. You can stop wearing the spandex.
Oh, well, all right. That would also jibe with what HR tells me.
That's right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit less spandex talk and more game talk. But thank you, Jason, for coming on the show. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll see you next week.